Hey buff dudes and girls, we are here in the gym. We got Lewis, he's joining us, and he's actually not only joining us for this particular mobility workout, but he's also joining us on the Buff Dudes bulking plan. Now I got the bulking book right here, and we're actually gonna be going through the same mobility drills and program we're gonna be using in this book, and today is gonna be lower body mobility. Are you ready, Lewis?
Yep.
Lewis over here, he's 17 years old, he's 6'2", 160 pounds. He's gonna be putting on 20 pounds in the next 3 months. But before doing all that, you wanna make sure you're nice and mobile and ready to put on that weight, not only on your body, but also on these big lifts you're gonna be performing, like squats, deadlifts, bent over rows, things like that. So today is gonna be the more lower body mobility, and we're gonna start with just a full squat. It's gonna be pretty simple. So Lewis, if you wanna step up, get the center stage here. Oh yeah, don't worry. Thousands of people watching, they're not gonna judge you at all. Okay, no, I'm here to help you out. So yeah, we're gonna be hip width on the stance here, it's perfect. And you want your toes just about 12 to 15 degrees out. What happens if you start squatting down and your toes start bringing outwards, just like so, you're compensating for bad mobility. So what happens is you're gonna need to force your toes to stay here, but you can turn your knees outward. And what that's gonna do is gonna be an external rotation. It's gonna create some torque in the hip joint and kind of stabilize the hips a bit more. So you're gonna push the hips back slightly. You're gonna bring those hips down, just like so, all the way down, and then you're gonna bring your arms inside your legs and gently push them apart here. You should feel some stretch in the inner thighs there. So, there we go. Let's see what you got. Good. Really try to keep the heels down. There we go. It's gonna be a little difficult at first, you know, of course, after a while, you're gonna get a little bit better in this position, but it's gonna take time to get used to this position. Good, just like so, yeah. Try to keep a pretty neutral back here. Good. Neutral chin as well if you can. Yep. Bring it down just slightly. There, right there. Good. You just kind of sit in this position. And as you can tell, there is some major tightness, not only in the hamstrings, it's going to be in the hips, but also the ankle mobility too. So what happens is your ankles need to be pretty mobile, your hips need to be mobile, your thoracic spine, and your lumbar and your knees should be very stable. But what happens if your hips and your ankles are not mobile, what happens is then you're compensating and things start to go wrong. So you're just gonna take some time to get used to this position, and to help it, sometimes just doing body weight, it's hard to get in that position. So we're gonna put some weight on you here. And this is kind of like a goblet squat, they call it, where you're just gonna be holding this just by the horns and get in that same position. And we're gonna widen your stance just slightly, so that way you can try to sit between your legs there too. Sometimes that'll help out. So a little bit wider stance. There you go, toes pointing out just a little bit more, right there, perfect. And now same position, bring those hips down. Really widen the knees, but try not to pull too wide in the toes, just like so. That's better. So you can tell the difference a little bit. The weight's helping push you down a little bit, and holding it there is forcing you to keep a bit more of a neutral spine. And then, yeah, gently push out in the knees right there. So you'll feel a little stretch in the inner thighs too. So it's working on ankle mobility, it's working on the hip capsule, and really trying to get you in that proper squat form and just get used to it. And so this, you can just kind of sit into it, right? And you're gonna sit into it, you know, around 15 seconds, 20 seconds or so, kind of hold it. You're gonna rest a little bit, and then you're gonna repeat it a couple more times. So, yep, go ahead and let's do it again. See in that proper form, here we go. That's it. So where are you feeling this, Lewis? Let's get your feedback.
And like right here.
The inner thighs?
Yeah.
Yep, perfect. Feel any bit in the back or hips or anything? Is it mostly the inner thighs?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a good kind of, what you have to do is kind of talk to yourself through this. Either you have someone do it for you, or you just kind of talk to yourself, kind of inner monologue, and think to yourself, okay, where's the tightness? Where am I feeling it the most? And this is a good issue to start working on, because, okay, my inner thighs are gonna be tighter, okay, my lower back, it's kind of difficult for me to get in a neutral spine position. My heels are starting to pick up, so maybe the ankle mobility needs some work. So you kind of make a mental checklist in a way, right? And so now that we got the weight done, we're just gonna get you in the same position but without the weight. Okay. So that's the main thing. You don't wanna always have to use the weight. You wanna really try to get in that position without the weight and get comfortable in that position, and you'll just slowly sit into it. Take time, nice breathing, in and out, and you just start to meditate.
Okay.
Yeah, here we go. Start reflecting on your life, Lewis. Yeah, how's it been so far? 17 years.
Good.
Good, yeah, Nothing bad's happened yet?
Nope.
Perfect, yeah.
I feel like I'm super slashed over.
Okay, there you go. So now you're starting to have that inner, exactly, so you have that inner checklist. So what happens is, yes, your spine is slightly starting to flex a little bit, but again, this is the things you have to work on, and this is the things, the checklist you have to make. So no one's gonna be super mobile right away, right? I mean, you're still growing, this is your first time starting to do mobility. You haven't really done a lot of stretching or mobility in the past, right? Mm-hmm. So don't worry about it too much, but this is a good thing to keep in mind now. You're like, immediately it shows you like, okay, maybe I need to start working on this, right? Because no one really does this, or at least very few, especially in like high school and stuff. I remember I was in high school, I didn't do mobility and stretching and stuff, you just want to lift weights. So once you start doing it, you're like, oh, man, my back's kind of rounded, and I'm like, heels are picking up, man, I need to start working on this. So that was the first kind of mobility drill. And of course, the more you do it, the better you get. So it's a routine, right? It's a consistency that's gonna make you even better. So next up on the mobility list is gonna be leg swings. Now this is excellent, it's really easy. It's not gonna be quite complicated as maybe a full squat, but it's gonna be excellent for ankle mobility. It's gonna stretch your inner and outer thighs. And you just kind of step up to a squat rack here, and you always wanna try to keep your toes pointed forward. And we're gonna do side to side leg swings first. And it's gonna feel a little weird, but you just kind of slowly work into it. We're gonna bring it right in front of you, and then kind of swing out, just like so. You're gonna feel kind of like a dancer. So just use that squat rack. Stability there, yep. Toes straight, there we go. Legs locked, and then you're gonna swing to the front of your leg, and then to the side. There we go, perfect. And then the more and more you do it, kind of the looser you'll feel. Just working on the hip capsule a little bit. Get that toe pointed forward a little bit more there. You can see it starting to turn out. So as you kind of see your toe turning outwards, that shows you that ankle mobility isn't quite there yet, and it's trying to compensate by turning out and make it easier for you, which is fine, but that's kind of some things to keep in mind when you're performing this. Yeah, so we'll switch sides there, please. There we go. So same thing, yep, kind of get used to that, and slow, and then you get a little bit higher, a little bit quicker, let kind of, yep, a little bit momentum in there, but you'll feel it's still controlled. There we go. See that toe slowly starting to point out? Yeah, there we go. That's all right. So, but always keep that in mind. So once you start seeing yourself compensating for that movement, always keep in mind, make sure you remember those things. Toes pointed forward, because what's weird is even though you're swinging in your hip joint, it is working on ankle mobility, oddly enough. So, and that's those key signs when your toes start pointing out. Same thing with squats. When you're doing this, it just shows you that some of the things you have to work on. But weirdly enough, not a lot of people think about this, is ankle mobility and how mobile it can be or should be in a lot of things. So we'll get you on a little bit more of these, but this one will actually go from front to back. So same thing, toes pointing forward, and we're just gonna swing up and then back, just like so. Still try to keep that neutral spine, try not to slouch forward too much or bend in the spine. And we'll get about 10 swings per leg. We'll see how that feels. There we go. Just feel a little bit in the hip flexor. Again, working a little bit in the ankle, also in the hip capsule. There we go. There you go. Get a little bit of momentum in there. Really try to, you should feel a little lower back as well. Yeah, that's perfect. Nice, Liz. All right, good. Go ahead and switch. Excellent, good. Try to keep the leg as straight as you can when you're coming back. Try not to bend too much in this, because what happens is when you bend the leg, you're no longer really getting too much pressure on the hip. You're starting to get it in more of the quadricep. There we go. Yeah, you should feel a little stretch in that hip flexor as you bring it back. That's perfect. All right, easy. So those ones are pretty easy. As you can feel, starting to get a little bit looser, right? Yeah. Okay, so the next one up is gonna be the lateral squats. Now this one, it depends again on your not only mobility but flexibility in these ones. So the wider the stance, the kind of easier this exercise can be. So start really wide is basically what I'm trying to say. Start nice and wide. Again, toes pointed forward at all times. Working on the ankle mobility, working on that nice stretch in the inner thighs and also the hip capsule, and kind of firing everything up. So this is not only an exercise, but it's also a mobility drill too. So kind of same thing, getting the stance facing the mirror just so you can kind of see your, there we go, nice and wide. There we go, even wider, even wider. So you got those tall legs, there we go, perfect. So start with the legs straight, toes pointing forward, and then just gonna squat down to one side, bending the knee here, and then bring it up, and then right to the next side, just like so. That's it, good. So really try to keep the heels down and the pressure on that midfoot. There we go. And you're gonna feel it kind of in that side of the hip section there as you squat down. Yep, back up. So nice, kind of bringing in that nice fluid motion. Try to keep this leg as straight as you can. There we go, perfect. So again, as you can tell, ankle mobility, working a little bit in that hip capsule as well. The inner thigh area that you're trying, earlier you were saying is running a little tight, so this is a good one for that one. And we're just gonna go back and forth, about 10 on each side. It's gonna be about 3 sets. Good, neutral spine, perfect. There we go. Yeah, this one you're doing good on, natural. Toes pointing forward, there we go. So you can tell it's firing those muscles up too. So as you bring it up, try to get that full position and then back down. Okay. Up and then back down, just like so. And it should start being a pretty fluid motion and feeling a little bit more comfortable. But again, you will feel those muscles starting to burn a little bit because they are firing out. Let's get that toe pointed. There we go, there we go. Nice, bring it down, feel a little stretch in that inner thigh, perfect. Bring it back up. Range of motion is already starting a little better. Let's keep it up, just a few more here, Lewis. Yeah, just so you can kind of get used to it. Yeah, perfect, good adjustment there. See that, Lewis's toes starting to point out a little bit, and he brought it back in to get that center line. Perfect adjustment, and that's the things you'll start kind of almost immediately doing without almost thinking about it the more you do this. So again, it's kind of like that checklist where you're like, okay, toes always pointed forward, legs straight, neutral spine, neutral chin, kind of like that. So good adjustment. Loses it natural. Yep. Okay, so the next on the list is gonna be the frog. Frog sounds kind of goofy and it looks pretty much like a frog too, but I'll kind of get into position if you want to use this area, Lewis, but what you're doing is getting those knees really wide, and you're going to just place kind of the inner foot on the ground here, and you're just going to be putting your forearms on the ground here, and you're really going to feel, and just kind of push your hips a little low so you feel that really good stretch in the inner thigh area. Yeah, just like so. Let's get your feet turned inward just a bit. There we go. So yeah, there's 2 positions of the frog mobility drill here. First one is the hips coming forward, perfect, just like that. You really start to fit, and this is, you can control your hips where they push down. This is where you can feel it really in your inner thigh there. Good, just like so. And then what you can do is slowly push your hips back, adjust back. The spine, try to keep those neutral as you can, but of course, as you're working into it, there might be some slight flexion in there, which is gonna be okay just because obviously there's no weight on it. Yeah, trying to get your knees as wide as you can, slowly push your hips towards the ground as much as you can. There we go, yeah, you're gonna feel it. And then bring it forward again, slowly forward, good. Pushing the hips down just a bit. So this is kind of gonna be a back and forth here. You're gonna hold the position about 10, 12 seconds, maybe even 15 depending on the tightness. So let's say you feel tighter in this position, you might hold this position a little bit longer. If you feel a little bit tighter in the other, you might hold that one a little bit longer, but again, you're just gonna be kind of alternating back and forth. So we'll just have you do this, Lewis, for a little bit. Get kind of sit into it. Because I know, like you were saying earlier, the inner thigh is running a bit tight. Yeah. And exactly. So, and that's another thing to keep in mind when you're kind of doing mobility stuff. Some things will be tighter than others. Some things will be a little bit more immobile than others. So let's say if your ankles, which I think Lewis has a bit of immobile issues in the ankles, he's going to spend a little bit more time in trying to key in on that issue. Let's say your hips are really tight or immobile. You're going to try to kind of, sit into areas that feel the tightest. So if there's certain things that you feel you need to work on the most, really try to pay attention to those ones. It's kind of like that priority principle training in a way, where then that's going to be your issue, and in the long run that's going to fix a lot of things in the future, especially if you're getting into that full squat position. You really want to key in on that and make sure you take care of that. So that way in the future, especially in Lewis's case, 17 years old, if he's doing this now, you hear that saying, practice makes perfect. Well, it also practice makes permanent. So if you're practicing something the wrong way, well, you could be doing the wrong way the rest of your life and unfortunately get injured or deal with injuries in the future. But if you practice and make it perfect now, then in the future, you can be a total badass. Right, Lewis? Oh, yeah. Oh, he's already a badass, so you don't have to worry about it. Okay, so one more left on the list is gonna be the scorpion. This one's a great one. It's gonna be a lot for the lower back, a little bit in the chest and the upper body as well. But you're gonna be laying face down here, just like so. You're gonna spread your arms out, like in a crucifix position, and you're gonna be bringing one leg up and over. So the key thing is here is you're gonna be feeling it in kind of the lumbar and thoracic spine area, a little bit in the hip, but what you don't wanna do in this one is kind of pick your body up here, because all of a sudden there's no longer much stretch in that position we want. So really try to keep that shoulder down as much as you can as you bring it up. So you can just be alternating from side to side there, keeping your shoulders down on the ground as much as you can. Yeah, perfect. So bring it up and over like a scorpion tail. Boom, perfect. That's it. And then just gonna alternate back and forth. This will be about 10 to 12 reps each side. Again, it kind of all depends on how much you want to work on it. You know, it's gonna be about 3 sets. So you can just count in your head, you know, there's 3, next side is 3, and then continue on that. And then take a little break in between, and then we're gonna be 2 sets after that. So nice and slow, good. Yep, there we go. Feel a little bit in that back, hips. You can feel a little stretch in the upper body too as you bring that lower body around. Oh yeah. Louis the Scorpion. Oh yeah. Don't get stung. It's gonna be Louis. It's gonna be your nickname in any kind of sport you get signed up on as a pro. Would that be baseball? What do you think?
Oh yeah.
Baseball? Yeah, baseball's a sport. Hell yeah. So as you become a professional in, let's say, a sport, you'll start noticing they utilize more and more mobility. Let's say in high school, I'm not gonna do jack shit, you know, I mean, maybe in really good high schools, if they have a really good teacher or something, they're gonna have you do mobility, do stretching, a good program. But unfortunately, high schools aren't really gonna give you the best out of that kind of thing. So right now, he's working on pure talent, which is great. But the thing is, to make a good athlete even better, that's when you introduce this kind of stuff. So that way, you're not only not getting injured, but you're also performing better, and the body is a well-oiled machine. Right, Lewis?
Yeah.
You feeling well-oiled right now?
Real old.
Real oiled, hell yeah. Okay, so that's pretty much the lower body mobility. So some things to keep in mind is, one is gonna be consistency. So before any kind of lower body workout, you wanna make sure you're doing your lower body mobility. You know, before that, maybe warm up on the treadmill, 5-10 minutes, depending, just kind of get the heart rate up, get the blood flowing, get your joints loose. Perform these kind of exercises for about 10-15 minutes. It's gonna be 3 sets each, maybe 10 to 15 seconds or 10 to 12 reps on each exercise, and then continue on with your workout. And then afterward, do some stretching, which we'll probably include in a different video, and then you're good to go. Again, it's taking care of that body. I mean, everyone's buying all this stuff for their cars, taking care of them, souping them all up, but a lot of times they don't take care of their own body, their own vehicle. And in this case, Lewis is taking care of it. He's taking care of it damn well, right? Hell yeah. Good job, Lewis. Lower body mobility is done. How you feeling?
Good.
Like a buff dude?
Yeah, real loose.
Real loose. Oh yeah, yeah.
Real loose.
Hell yeah. He's ready to take on the world. And hopefully you are too. And what do you tell him, Big Louie?
Stay buff.
Stay buff. Yeah.